Hello and welcome to my channel. Today, in our new tutorial, we're going to talk about the difference between CMYK and RGB in Adobe Illustrator. Here are the tools, and here I have the color mode set to CMYK. Okay, let's start the explanation from the beginning. As everyone knows, CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and RGB, as everyone knows, stands for red, green, and blue. CMYK is the color mode used for printing. Anything that gets printed, whether it's offset, digital, or any kind of physical material, uses CMYK. On the other hand, RGB is for screens and digital colors, like the ones we see online. As we just explained, your document needs to be set to CMYK for printing to ensure accurate color output. RGB, on the other hand, is best for anything online, like web banners, social media posts, or other types of digital content. Let's take a look together at the key differences between them and what might cause confusion or issues during your design workflow. First, I want to talk about a very important point that a lot of designers overlook. And that's the topic of images. When it comes to images, for example, if I have an image and my page is set up for printing no matter what the image is for, whether it's a flyer, a brochure, a magazine, or a book. If my page is in RGB mode and the image itself is also in RGB, whether I got it from Photoshop or anywhere else. This document is going to be sent for printing, so what most designers do is go to the document color mode and switch it to CMYK. Now, what you did here is only half right. That means you did 50% of the job correctly, but the other 50%, which is really important, you left out, and that's the image. The image itself needs to be converted. It has to be converted in Photoshop. The image has to be converted in Photoshop to CMYK, even if it already shows as CMYK here. Even if it appears as CMYK here, you still need to go to Photoshop and convert it from RGB to CMYK there. I got it, opened it in Illustrator, and just copied and pasted it. That's why it showed up as CMYK for me. But Illustrator has nothing to do with the image itself. Illustrator only converts anything that's vectors from RGB to CMYK, just changes the colors from RGB to CMYK. And that's true, and you can go back and adjust the black color, since it differs between RGB and CMYK. Images are strictly Photoshop's specialty. So if I have an RGB image, there's no way it can be converted to CMYK, and Illustrator it has to be converted to CMYK in Photoshop. The topic of RGB and CMYK is super important. I mean, I've worked for years in production, and I know how much it matters when you export a file for print and it's in RGB, and how much things change when it's converted to CMYK, and you can expect problems, so it really needs to be set up that way from the start. You need to work with the mindset that you understand from the very beginning that it should be CMYK, so nothing ends up different later on. Okay, but there's a point I'd like to clarify. Let's go back to the topic, say I had it in RGB, for example. Or sorry, let's stick with CMYK. This mode, CMYK. Here I have a black color. Now, when I want to convert from CMYK to RGB, I want to see how it turns out. Let's check it out together. Here, I have pure black. I have a really deep black, like pitch black, as they say. Okay, I want to see what happens to this black when it's converted to RGB. You see how it changed? The color got weaker. It's like it went from CMYK to about 90%. Even when I check the values here, I still see the percentage is black. But if I want it to be pitch black in RGB, as I need to increase these values, I need to add more CMY, the cyan and magenta. And here, I can check in RGB to see exactly what the value is, which is 0. That was our explanation today, guys, about the difference between CMYK and RGB in Illustrator. I hope everyone found it helpful, and thank you.